Welcome to the series of lecture on finite element analysis. In this part, we are going to continue the two-dimensional vector variable problems. We are going to solve some sample problems in plane stress and plane strain conditions. In the earlier part, we derived the stress strain relationship matrix for three-dimensional stress element, which is a 6 by 6 matrix. This is the 6 by 6 constitutive matrix which relates the stress and strain in three dimension. In three dimension, we have three normal stress and three shear stresses. But when we solve the actual engineering problem, we try to reduce these three-dimensional problem into 2D. For that, we applied the plane elasticity concept and we discussed about the three conditions. In this part, we are going to solve the problems under the two conditions, plane stress and plane strain condition. So, what is plane stress condition? If a body is very thin body and the load is acting along the sectional plane of the body, then we can consider that as the plane stress condition. For the plane stress condition, we derived the constitutive matrix in the last part. So this is the constitutive matrix we have to remember to solve the problem. Similarly, plane strain condition, if the body has very large thickness, then we have to use the plane strain condition, provided if the load is acting along the z direction, that condition should be satisfied. So here also we are going to consider the cross-sectional plane alone to model the geometry. For plane strain condition, the constitutive matrix is this one. In the earlier parts we derived this one. So by using the plane stress and the plane strain condition, we are able to evaluate the two normal stresses along x direction, y direction, and shear stress along the xy plane. So the cross-sectional plane is going to be considered as xy plane. Along that xy plane, we are going to measure the shear stress, and along the x direction and y direction, we are going to measure the normal stress. That we are going to see in this part. In finite element method, when we solve the practical problems, we will discretize the given structure by many number of elements. Depends upon the size of the body, the number of elements will vary. Now, we are going to solve the problem manually in the plane stress and the plane strain condition. So, we are going to consider any one element which is present inside this finite element mesh for solving that problem. So, we are not going to solve the problem in the structural level. We are going to take any one element in the finite element mesh, and for that element we are going to apply all those concepts. If you understand this concept, then the same concept we can extend it for the structural level problem. This is the one point we have to understand, because for one element itself we have 6 degrees of freedom. Our stiffness matrix size will be 6 by 6 matrix. So if you use more than one element, the size of the stiffness matrix will get increased, then solving the problem manually will become very difficult. So that is why in two-dimensional problems, we are restricting ourselves solving the problem by element level. We are going to use only one element for understanding the concept of plane stress and plane strain. Let us go to the example problems. We have discussed three types of problems in the earlier part. First one is the stress strain relationship in two dimension. Stress matrix is equal to the product of D and the epsilon matrix strain, where D is the constitutive matrix. The epsilon is nothing but product of B and U, where B is called gradient matrix. So finally we will get this expression: sigma is equal to product of constitutive matrix and gradient matrix. Then we have to multiply the displacement matrix. So this is the type 1 problem. We are going to solve an example problem in this part. Then type 2, how to determine the stiffness matrix for the given triangular element. For finding the stiffness matrix, we have to use this expression: product of the matrix B transpose D, and then we have to multiply B matrix then the volume of the element At. So this is the evaluation of the stiffness matrix for the given element, which is considered as type 2 problem. Here, based on the thickness of the given element, we are going to choose either it is a plane strain or plane stress condition. If it is 1 mm, we are going to choose plane strain. If it is less than or greater than 1 mm, we will take the plane stress condition. Then type 3 problem, actual FEA problem. So we have to find the unknown displacement of the given element by using the given nodal forces acting on the member. So this is the type 3 problem. This type 3 problem we will see in the next part. In this part we are going to see type 1 and type 2 problem. So this is the first problem we are considering. For the plane strain element, it is straight away mentioned in the example. For the plane strain element shown in figure, the nodal displacements are 0.005, 0.002, 0, 0, 0.005, 0 mm. So the transpose is given as is a column matrix. Find the element stresses and the principal stresses. Also locate the principal plane. Assume Young's modulus E is 70 gigapascal, Poisson ratio nu is 0.3. So now in this example, nodal displacements for the element is given and the nodal coordinates are specified in this diagram. This is the given triangular element, xy axis, so global coordinate system represented, and node 1 is shown here, so we have to use that numbering. Node 1 is 5, 15, node 2 is here 15, 5, this is node 3, 25, 15. All dimensions are in mm. So we have to use the units properly. So here we have gigapascal, Poisson ratio no unit. Now we have to find the element stresses. What are the element stresses? That is sigma x, sigma y, tau xy. We have to find out for this element, because this is a CST element. Throughout this element area, the stress value will be constant, right? So we are going to find that element stresses. By using that element stresses, we can easily find the principal stress value by applying the equations or formula for the principal stresses. So we will go to the procedure how to solve this problem step by step. In the first step, we have to write down the given nodal coordinates and the nodal displacement. This is the given two-dimensional triangular element. So node 1, what are the coordinates for node 1? 5, 15 mm, and the nodal displacement is given in the question 0.005, 0.002. This is u1 and v1. This is for u2, v2. This is u3, v3. Like that you have to consider. So u1, v1 in terms of mm. Then node 2. Node 2 is this one. Coordinates are 15, 5 mm, and u2 is 0, v2 is 0. How can be 0 displacement? The node 2 may be a supported node or supported end. For any supported end, we know that the displacement, nodal displacement will be 0, 0, right? Then node 3 is this one. Coordinates are 25, 50 mm, and nodal displacement u3 0.005 mm, v3 is 0. Along the y direction, no displacement, it is arrested, right? So this is the physical meaning. So v3, it may be have some constraint or support. We are going to find the two matrices. First we have to find the B matrix, then we have to find the D matrix, then only we can find the stress matrix sigma. To find the B matrix, we need a beta values, gamma values and 2A values. Okay. First we will find this one, evaluation of beta, gamma and 2A. What is the expression for beta? Beta I is equal to yj minus yk, the same expression we are using here. So beta 1 is equal to y2 minus y3. Now substituting the coordinates value, we are getting minus 10 mm. Beta 2 is y3 minus y1, 15 minus 15, so you are getting 0. Why we are getting 0? That side is horizontal. So because of this horizontal 1 3 side, we are getting one value as 0. Suppose if there is any vertical side, you will get gamma value 0. Beta 3 y1 minus y2, we are getting 10 mm. Gamma 1, what is the expression for gamma? Gamma I is equal to minus of xj minus xk. You have to remember this. So gamma 1 is equal to minus x2 minus x3. Then substitute the coordinate value, we are getting 10 mm. Gamma 2 minus of x3 minus x1. Then substituting the value, we are getting minus 20 mm. Gamma 3 minus of x1 minus x2. Then substituting the value, we will get gamma 3 as 10 mm. After knowing the beta values and the gamma values, we are finding the 2a. So what is 2a? This is nothing but determinant of the coordinate matrix. 1 x1 y1, 1 x2 y2, 1 x3 y3. Substitute the coordinates value and find the determinant. Open up this 3 by 3 matrix and find the determinant. The value will be 200 mm square, because it is a area of the triangular element, so mm square. 2a is 200 mm square. After finding this beta, gamma, 2a value, now we can write the B matrix, that is gradient matrix. In this step, we are finding the B matrix. The expression for the B matrix is this one: 1 by 2a. First row is beta row, beta 1 0, beta 2 0, beta 3 0. Then second row gamma 0, gamma 1 0, gamma 2 0, gamma 3. Third one the combination gamma 1 beta 1, gamma 2 beta 2, gamma 3 beta 3. So this expression already we derived the strain displacement matrix or gradient matrix. Already we found out the beta, gamma value and 2a value. Substitute all the values. Here the common terms can be taken outside the matrix. So 10 is taken outside. So 200 will become 20. 1 by 20. Here minus 1 0 0 0 1 0, like that we are getting. What is the units for this B matrix? It is 1 by mm. So that you have to write the unit for the B matrix, gradient matrix. Unit is 1 by mm. Now we have to evaluate the D matrix, constitutive matrix. In the question it is mentioned that plane strain condition. So straight away we can choose the plane strain condition. For the plane strain condition, constitutive matrix is this one. D is equal to E divided by 1 plus nu, 1 minus 2 nu. Here 1 minus nu, nu 0, then nu 1 minus nu 0, 1 minus 2 nu by 2. So we have to remember this matrix. Substitute the given value 70 gigapascal, Young's modulus, nu is 0.3. So we have to substitute in terms of mm square, because we have used mm for evaluating the B matrix. So 70 gigapascal can be converted into 70 into 10 power 3 Newton per mm square. So here nu is 0.3, it is substituted, and here also we are substituting nu 0.3, 0.3. 1 minus nu is 0.7, nu is 0.3. This part will have more contribution than this one. Then simplifying this term, we are getting 13.463 into 10 power 3, and here 110 is multiplied inside this matrix, because when you do the matrix multiplication inside the matrix, if you have whole numbers as the elements of the matrix, it will be very easy to operate the matrix. That is why we always try to keep elements of the matrix as whole number as far as possible. So here 110 is taken inside the matrix. So 0.7 multiplied by 10, we will get a 7 3 0 3 7 0 0 0 2, like that we are getting. Unit for the D matrix is Newton per mm square. After knowing the B matrix and D matrix, we are able to find the stress matrix. Let us see evaluation of the stress. The expression for the stress matrix, D multiplied with the B matrix multiplied with the U matrix. This is the 3 by 1 stress matrix, sigma x, sigma y, tau xy we have to evaluate. This is the D matrix, this is the B matrix, this is the U matrix. Now when you do the multiplication, we are going to do it in the reverse order because it is very easy. We can do it manually without using calculator. So first we are going to multiply this 6 by 1 matrix with the 3 by 6 matrix. We will get a 3 by 1 matrix. Then multiplying the 3 by 1 matrix with the 3 by 3 matrix, we will get 3 by 1 matrix. First we will multiply these and these. So there are many zeros, so we can easily do the multiplication. We have to multiply this row, this column matrix, first element, second row, this column matrix, second element, third row, again this U column matrix, you will get third element. That is the 3 by 1 matrix. Let us see. So this is the D matrix, and there is the multiplication of B and U, right? So you have only two terms, other terms are 0, so we are neglecting the 0 terms. So finally we are getting this matrix as 0, 0 0.002, 0 0.008 like this. This is the D matrix. Now this is the 3 by 3 matrix, this is the 3 by 1 matrix. Now you can easily multiply this one, this row multiplied by this column matrix. So you can easily get the answer. So second row, this matrix will get second term, third row will get the third term. For finding the element stresses, it is very easy if you do matrix multiplication in the reverse order. Now you have to multiply this constant inside this matrix to get the actual stress value. Stress values are coming as 4.039, 9.423, 10.770. What is the unit for this stress? Newton per mm square. 1 Newton per mm square is equal to 1 megapascal. That you have to mention in stresses in megapascal. Now we evaluated the element stresses. These are the stresses, normal stresses and shear stress acting on the element. Now using this stress, we have to find the principal stress which is asked in the question. That is, we have to apply the principal stress formula which is taken from the strength of material. So evaluation of the principal stress, maximum principal stress, sigma max is equal to sigma x plus sigma y by 2 average term, then radical term, root of sigma x minus sigma y by 2 whole square plus tau xy square. Substitute the sigma x value, sigma y value evaluated and tau xy value. Then reducing all the terms, finally we are getting sigma max as equal to 17.831 Newton per mm square. So here this value coming as positive. So positive stress indicates it is tensile in nature. Sigma max is 17.831 megapascal. Since it is positive, we are mentioning it as a tensile in nature. Now we will find the minimum principal stress. Sigma minimum is equal to the average stress term minus this radical term. So for maximum principal stress, we will have a plus sign here. For minimum principal stress, we have minus sign. So we are subtracting these values. So we are getting the minimum principal stress as minus 4.37 Newton per mm square. So this minus sign indicates it is in the compressive nature. So when you write the values of these stresses, we are mentioning it tensile or compressive. So sigma minimum is 4.37 megapascal compressive. Next we will find the maximum shear stress. Tau max is equal to only that radical term inside the root. So we will have this radical term alone for the shear stress. So we will get the value as 11.101 Newton per millimeter square. So which is 11.101 megapascal. Now to locate the principal plane, we have to find the principal angle. Expression for the principal angle 2 theta p is equal to tan inverse of 2 tau xy divided by sigma x minus sigma y. So substituting the tau xy, sigma x, sigma y value, we are getting this value as minus 75.96, that is 2 theta p value. So theta p value is equal to minus 37.983 degrees. This the angle indicates the position of the principal plane. Now in this example, we have considered a two-dimensional triangular element, and using the nodal coordinates and the nodal parameter we evaluated the element stresses. Based on the element stresses we evaluated the principal stresses and the principal angle. Next we will see the type 2 problem, that is evaluation of the stiffness matrix for a triangular element. Let us see the second problem. Evaluate the element stiffness matrix for the two-dimensional triangular element shown in figure. So this is the element given. XY axis indicates the global coordinate system, and the position of the element. Node 1 is coinciding with the origin 0, 0. Node 2 is horizontal line, 1, 2 is horizontal line. So node 2 is along the x-axis 6, 0. Node 3 is 3, 5. All the dimensions are in mm. Material property Young's modulus is 200 gigapascal. Nu Poisson ratio is 0.25. Thickness is given as 1 mm. So this is coming under type 2 problem. First step, we are going to write down the nodal coordinates and the material property. Then we will find the beta, gamma and 2a values. Then we will find B matrix. Next we evaluate the D matrix. After that we have to go for the stiffness matrix. So this is the procedure we are going to follow. Let us see. The first step, we are writing the nodal coordinates and the other data. So node 1 we have 0, 0, and node 2 you have 6, 0 mm, and node 3 you have 3, 5 mm. Then material property Young's modulus 2 into 10 power 5 Newton per millimeter square. We converted the 200 gigapascal into Newton per mm square. Then mu is 0.25, thickness is 1 mm. So next step, we are going to find the beta and gamma value using this xy coordinates value. So evaluation of the beta, gamma and 2a. So beta 1 we are using that expression y2 minus y3. Substituting the value we are getting minus 5 mm. Beta 2 y3 minus y1 we are getting 5 mm. Beta 3 y1 minus y2, then here we have 0 because of the horizontal side we are getting 0. Then gamma 1, what is the expression for gamma 1? Minus of x2 minus x3. Substituting the value we are getting minus 3 mm. Gamma 2 is minus of x3 minus x1, then we are getting minus 3 mm. Gamma 3 is minus of x1 minus x2, will give us 6 mm. Now we have to find the 2a. 2a is nothing but determinant of the coordinate matrix 1 x1 y1, 1 x2 y2, 1 x3 y3. So substituting the coordinate values, then we will expand this one for determination of the determinant of this value. So we are getting 30 mm square as the 2a value. Now we can write the B matrix using these values. B matrix is 1 by 2a, beta 1 0, beta 2 0, beta 3 0, 0, gamma 1 0, gamma 2 0, gamma 3. Third row, gamma 1 beta 1, gamma 2 beta 2, gamma 3 beta 3. Now substitute all the values evaluated. 2a is 30 and this is beta 1, beta 2, beta 3. Gamma 1, gamma 2, gamma 3. Here we are substituting that value. Beta and gamma will be interchanged in the third row. Unit of the B matrix is 1 by mm. Next we have to find the D matrix, constitutive matrix. Now in the question it is given as 1 mm. We have to understand the thickness is 1 mm means it represents the unit thickness of the element. So which is for the plane strain condition, right? So we have to consider that as the plane strain condition. So the constitutive matrix for the plane strain condition is this one, E divided by 1 plus nu, 1 minus 2 nu, 1 minus nu, nu 0, nu 1 minus nu 0, 0, 0, 1 minus 2 nu by 2. This expression we have to remember. Then substitute the value E 200 gigapascal and nu is 0.25. So this 200 gigapascal should be converted into in terms of Newton per mm square. So 2 into 10 power 5 Newton per mm square. Here we are using the Poisson's ratio 1.25 and 0.5. So here 1 minus nu is 0.75, here 0.25 nu value. Now this value after simplification you are getting 3.2 into 10 power 5 like this, and here 0.75, 0.25 like that. So to make the elements of the matrix whole number, we can take either 0.25 outside the matrix, or we can multiply this 3.2 inside this matrix. Here we are multiplying this 32, so that is why we are getting 10 power 4 outside the matrix. So 32 is multiplied inside this matrix, so we are getting 24 8 0 8 24 0 0 0 8 like this. This is one way of making the elements of the matrix whole number. Why we are making it to whole number means to make the product of matrix easy. Otherwise when you take the 0.25 outside this matrix, we will get a 3 1 1 3, here we will get 1. That will be also another way of making the elements of the matrix as the whole number. Now the unit for the D matrix is Newton per mm square. After knowing the B matrix and D matrix, we have to go for stiffness matrix evaluation. This is the expression for the stiffness matrix. B transpose D, then we have to multiply again with the B matrix, then area into thickness of the element. So area we already found out, 2A is equal to 30 mm square, so we are getting A is equal to 15 mm square. Thickness is 1 mm. Then B transpose, first we will find B transpose into D multiplied with the volume A into T. So B transpose, we have to convert the B matrix into transpose of this one. So you will get 3 by 6 matrix into 6 by 3. So 1 by 30 is the constant. So 1 by 30. So here we are converting the rows into column like this. So we are getting the 6 by 3 matrix here. Now this is the D matrix. So D matrix is the 3 by 3 matrix. So multiplying these two, we are going to get the 6 by 3 matrix again. This 6 by 3 matrix will be multiplied with a B matrix, which is a 3 by 6 matrix. We will get the 6 by 6 matrix. Now how to do this matrix multiplication? We have to do using calculator. Let us see. This is the constant 10 power 4 into 15 by 30. This 15 is taken from here, volume of the element. This is the 10 power 4 and this 30. All the constants are combined here. Then this is the B transpose matrix, this is the D matrix. Using the calculator we can do up to 3 by 3 matrix multiplication. Here this matrix 6 by 3 matrix can be divided into two 3 by 3 matrix like this. Say this is the matrix 1 and this is matrix 2, and this is again a 3 by 3 matrix. We can easily make this 3 by 3 matrix using calculator. Now when you multiply these two, we are going to get a 6 by 3 matrix. The resultant matrix, this is the 6 by 3 matrix. Here also we are dividing this one. So the top 3 by 3 matrix will be the product of 1 and 3, right? So this is the first part. So when you multiply matrix 1 and 3, you will get the top portion of the 6 by 3 matrix. Similarly, when you multiply this 2 matrix and again this 3 matrix, we will get this bottom portion of this 6 by 3 matrix. So we have to do 2 times in the calculator. Let us say this is the matrix 1 multiplied with the matrix 3, we will get this matrix 1 by 3. When take this as 2 and this is 3, again multiplying 2 and 3, you will get this one, right? So when you use the calculator, we have to use letters A, B, C like that. So product of A and C will give you this one, product of B and C will give you this one. We have to do it 2 times. Manually when we start multiplying the two matrices, it will take more time. So it is better to use the calculator for this matrix multiplication, then only we'll get the correct answer. The final stiffness matrix will get the correct answer. Now the constant also reduced like this, 10 power 4 by 2. Now we have to multiply this resultant matrix with again the B matrix. See, we will see in the next step. Calculated up to this one, B transpose D A in T. This will be multiplied with the B matrix. So this is the resultant matrix obtained from the earlier step. Then now we are multiplying with this B matrix 1 by 30. This is the B matrix element. And when you multiply this and this, you will get a 6 by 6 matrix, stiffness matrix. Now how to do this matrix operation? Now we are going to do this operation by splitting these matrices into 3 by 3. Now let us say this matrix is, we are dividing into two matrices, let us say 4 and 5. Here this matrix we are dividing into two matrices 6 and 7. Now in the 6 by 6 matrix, we are going to get the 6 by 6 matrix. The first 6 by 6 matrix is nothing but 4 3 by 3 matrix. So first 3 by 3 matrix, for this one, when you multiply matrix 4 and 6, we will get this element. When you multiply matrix 4 and matrix 7, we will get the elements of this 3 by 3 matrix. Then we have to multiply matrix 5 and matrix 6. Here we will get the 3 by 3 matrix element if you multiply 5 and 6. Then we have to multiply 5 and 7. 5 and 7. So we have to do this operation 4 times here. After multiplying this 3 by 3 matrix 4 times, finally we will get the required 6 by 6 matrix, that is the stiffness matrix. Let us see that stiffness matrix. Here 10 power 4 by 6, it is coming 10 power 4 by 2, here 1 by 30. So this is 10 power 4 divided by 60. Actually this is 60. 10 power 4 by 60 should come here. And the product of these matrices, so 4 into 6 will give you this 3 by 3 matrix. And 4 into 7 matrix will give you these 3 by 3 matrix element, and multiplying the 5th and 6th matrix give you this 3 by 3 matrix, and multiplying 5 and 7 matrix will get this 3 by 3 matrix. So we have to do it carefully, so it will take more time compared to type 1 problem. Now after getting these elements of the stiffness matrix, we can use the properties of the stiffness matrix for verification purpose. So how to check the properties of the stiffness matrix? So K matrix should be square and symmetric. So it is a 6 by 6 matrix, square matrix. So symmetric means with respect to this major diagonal, all the elements should be symmetrical. Upper diagonal and the lower diagonal elements should be symmetrical, that you have to check. Major diagonal element should be non-zero and non-negative elements. So here in the major diagonal, you should not get any zero or negative element. Then you have to verify your procedure once again. Then sum of the elements in any row and any column should be equal to 0. So when you add the elements of a column or elements of a row, it will be 0. So 672, 240, minus 558, minus 144, minus 240, like that. So when you add this column, we will get 0. Similarly, when you add this row wise, also we will get 0. So by using these properties of this stiffness matrix, we can verify our answer. So we can leave this is 60. We can leave this constant outside the matrix. We can just after checking the properties of the matrix, we can say this is the stiffness matrix for the corresponding element. So in this part, we have solved a type 1 problem and type 2 problem for the CST element. In the next part, we will take up the type 3 problem, which is a real finite element problem. We will see in the next part. Thank you for your passion listening.